They've asked me to come and teach, assist, mentor this group in terms of thinking and based on the ideas that they've had, it's really to help them to narrow down who their markets are. In particular, where will they be able to sell that product and have an income stream? So how do they make this thing sustainable? And that's the one thing that I'm focusing on. And the other area that I'm focusing on is scalability. So it's all good and well to say, here's a product and I can make 10 of it, but what happens if somebody comes around and say, well, I'd like to have 10,000 of those by the end of the month. So what is the business model that allows you to scale around that? And then the third thing that I'm focusing on is to think about what's the business model that you can deploy to make this product that you have innovative in comparison to something else. So it has to be radically different from what is out in the marketplace, because as a startup you can't compete with an existing company when your product is only incrementally different. The ideas at different levels or different stages of development. I can see people haven't considered all the different elements yet. So it's a typical thing when people are starting up and they've got this really cool idea. Some people have an app already, some people are still thinking about what the app should look like. The elements that I think are generally missing for people is being much more specific about the target market. They haven't considered that yet. You know, who exactly is that target market? Who is going to want to buy that product the moment it is out there? And what is the real need that's being addressed? I think some of them are a little bit vague in terms of it. They think there's a good idea of matching a skill with the marketplace, and I'm not always sure that the marketplace necessarily wants the skill or is looking for the skill, and that the skill would be looking for that particular marketplace. But there are a couple of ideas that I think are quite good. The one in particular I think is very well thought through because it's addressing an incredibly specific need as a result of a court case ruling that came about very recently. And their biggest issue is going to be making sure that when I engage with that solution, that I can trust the solution. So when a solution comes back and when my need has been addressed, that there's not going to be any comebacks. So if they can address that, that product's going to fly. My advice to the contestants is, first of all, don't fall in love with your prototype. Because when you fall in love with your prototype, you're going to try and sell the benefits instead of being able to observe and learn from the behaviors of the people that's engaging with your solution. You need to make it idiot-proof. And the only way you can make it idiot-proof is when you are able to hold your hands behind your back, not interfere, to show them how to do it, and put some sticky tape over your mouth so that you don't say how they should be using it. Watch and learn and observe. So that would be number one. And then number two is to if it is a product that they want to sell, is to test it by creating an advert that puts this product into the marketplace as if it's ready, completely ready to sell, and see what the response is. So if they have 10,000 people pushing on the button and say, I want to order one of those, it's much easier for them to go back to a funder and say, I have 10,000 potential orders, and now get the funding to build the factory to build the 10,000 units, versus I think 10,000 people will want to buy my product. Normally they don't say that. Normally they say, I think 1 million people is going to wanting to buy my product. Not good enough. So those would be the two things at this point in time. Something that is often lacking, especially when people have an initial idea, is they don't consider the ecosystem. So in the ecosystem, who is all the different stakeholders, and how can I generate and create value beyond just this individual or initial idea that I'm thinking of? Could I, perhaps in the app that I'm launching, create the opportunity to perhaps gather data and information that be useful and valuable to somebody else in this ecosystem, and that data could be aggregated or sold or passed on, and that enable perhaps other solutions or other value being created. So think of the ecosystem and think of how can you create value beyond just here. So that would be the first thing in the ecosystem. And the other thing in the ecosystem is when the product is implemented or the solution is implemented, consider the actual reality of the individuals that will be using that product or that solution of yours. Don't make it more difficult, or understand what the possible difficulties would be in the use or execution of the use of that product, and how do you take that away or minimize it or create value by taking it away, because maybe somebody else comes into the ecosystem and take that problem or make that problem go away. So 20 top contestants, good luck, give it your all, think creative, challenge your own thinking, don't be scared. Trust your intuition and your gut, and when you're rich, then just remember me. Come back to me. Give me a bit.